Welcome to Mannafest, hosted by international evangelist, teacher, and author Perry Stone. On today's program, you will experience a powerful, right-now word that will change your life forever. Enjoy unique insight into prophetic and practical truth as Perry ministers using biblical word studies, ancient Jewish history, and Hebrew customs that will cause the Scriptures to come alive as never before. It's time to feast on fresh manna, so get ready to be blessed and encouraged. And now, here is your host and teacher, Perry Stone.
Guess where I am? I'm in Israel. I'm in the Golan Heights with a brand new teaching that we've never taught on Mannafest before. We are here with our tour group. Yeah! Yeah! Okay, that's enough. I always have to cut them off. They get carried away. Got a takeover spirit on them, you know. And this is not all of them. What we do, we have certain groups we tape with, and we'll get some more buses, and we'll go to a place and tape. And then they're able to get the tour tapes, and then they get to see everything that we have taped on the Mannafest program and also on the tour. But I'm going to minister something that is, well, let me say it to you this way. I've never preached on this. I've never dug this out in all the time I've been preaching in 32 years of ministry. And I call it the wicked woman who is a basket case. Ladies, easy, back up, easy, don't hurt me. And and the thing is, this is from the prophet Zechariah, and he gives the most unusual prophecy about a woman in a basket. Have y'all ever read this? Yeah. Let me read it to you, and then we're going to dig this out, okay? We're going to learn something today here in Israel and also on the program. Here it is. This is the prophet Zechariah speaking. He also said, "This is their resemblance throughout the earth. Here is a lead disc lifted up." Somebody said it's a flying saucer. No, not quite. Lifted up, and this is a woman sitting inside the basket. Then he said, "This is wickedness." And he thrust her down into the basket and threw the lead cover over its mouth. Then I raised my eyes and looked, and there were two women coming with the wind in their wings, for they had wings like the wings of a stork. And they lifted up the basket between earth and heaven. So I said to the angel who talked with me, "Where are they carrying the basket?" Now this last verse is very important. He says to me, "To build a house for it in the land of Shinar. When it is ready, the basket will be set there on its base." Notice this, when it's ready, the basket will be set there on its base. Now the question comes, where is the land of Shinar? Where is it located? It is actually located in the territory. You have the Tigris and the Euphrates River, and it's located in the country of Iraq. As a matter of fact, it is where one of the very first world governments ever formed was situated centuries ago by a man, he's mentioned in the Bible, by the way, by the name of Nimrod. Nimrod built something called the Tower of Babel. Now, I was always curious as to why he would build this tower, and the Jewish historian Josephus gives us a little bit of information on this and says that Nimrod was a rebel against God, and he was very angry that God had taken his ancestors and destroyed them in this universal flood. And what he was going to do is build a tower so high that flood waters would never touch it again, and they could go up to the top of it and be protected. If the man would have listened to what Noah said, God already said to Noah, "I'm not going to destroy the earth with water again." He wasted his time building a building. You know, when you get rebellious, you do stupid stuff, don't you? And so what he did, he built the tower, and he built it there in what's called the Plains of Shinar, Genesis chapter 10, verse 10. So what this area is, it is the area of what we call today Iraq. By the way, it was also called Mesopotamia centuries ago. It was also called the area of Chaldea. It was the place where Abraham was called of God to come here to the Promised Land, the land of Canaan. And so the point is that this land of Shinar, where you see this woman in a basket with a lead covering on it, is today, in the ancient time it would be in Babylon, but today it would be the territory, all the territory of what we call Iraq. Now the reason I'm sharing that with you is, if you've noticed, and I know you have, because the people that watch our program are very, very Bible-based, Bible-reading, love the Lord folk, you know. And if you've ever read in the book of Revelation, you will discover that it mentions a mystery Babylon in chapter 17. And then when you go to chapter 18, you see the economic aspect of this mystery Babylon. Now, it's interesting to note that there's differences of opinion as to what Mystery Babylon is. Now, there are some folks, and by the way, they're good people, they love the Lord, but they try to make Mystery Babylon New York City because of the wickedness that's in New York City. Can I just tell y'all something? There are cities in the world far more wicked than any city in America, and I'm being honest. We still have a government that has some laws that people live by, but I don't want to tell you cities I've actually had to go and fly into or minister into, and just some of the terrible perversions that are there. You know, drug trucks on the street where people can walk into the truck and just shoot up with drugs, and the government pays for it. So for someone to say that America or New York or Washington is Babylon, we may have certain patterns of ancient cities, but the actual Babylon in Revelation, the Bible says, is built on 7 hills, is drunken with the blood of the saints and the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. Well, technically speaking, those that were drunken with the blood of Christ and the early church martyrs was Rome. All right, now that's an interesting aspect. But if you also continue to read and you look at this study in detail, you will discover why John would have never said that the Roman system or the Roman Empire that would continue to rise, and it's doing it through the EU, rise again in the last days. You will know why he never used the term Rome. Can I tell you why? Because if he would have revealed in the apocalypse that the city that was about to be destroyed was the city of Rome in the Roman Empire, they would have never allowed the book of Revelation to be taken off the Isle of Patmos, because they would have considered a political book that was against the Roman Empire. So God had to veil it in symbolism. And I mean, can you imagine? Here comes John. He's an old man on the Isle of Patmos. He's walking off with that scroll of Revelation. They want to know what he wrote. And there's something over there about a dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. And there's a woman travailing in the sky giving birth to a baby. And they laughed and said, "He's a nut. Let him out." Are you seeing? So in other words, God allowed him to write it in symbolism so that those that could have stopped the book from spreading, or those in the Roman Empire that could have prevented it from going forth, would have looked at it and said, it's some kind of weird something the guy wrote, claims he had a vision, you know. And so I think that's the reason why he did it. But watch this very carefully. The Roman Empire was ruling in John's day, but Babylon in John's day, listen carefully, Babylon in John's day was a cryptic name for Rome. Let me explain it. Both Rome and Babylon invaded Israel. Both Rome and Babylon destroyed Jerusalem. Both Rome and Babylon destroyed the temple. Both Rome and Babylon destroyed the temple on the 9th of Av on the Jewish calendar. Both Rome and Babylon took the Jewish people as slaves. So when we look at this, we understand that there is a Babylon that is a religious system at the end of days, and there is a Babylon that is an economic system. That's found in Revelation 17 and also Revelation chapter 18. Now, the reason that I'm wanting to share that with you is because I want to talk about Iraq for a few moments. The United States has been in Iraq for many years now, and attempting to form, of course, a democracy and stabilize that government for that part of the world. Now, I'm going to share with you quickly why Iraq is very, very significant in the time of the end and in the last days. It is significant because of what will happen in the future to 2 nations that are very near the land of Iraq, or the nation of Iraq. One will be the country of Syria, which borders Israel, and the second will be the country of Iran, which again borders the country of Iraq. Prophetically speaking, the prophets of the Bible have predicted something major is going to happen to these 2 areas. Let's first look at Syria. The headquarters, or the capital I should say, of Syria is Damascus. Now, we do know, and it's well known, that Damascus houses literally thousands and thousands of terrorists. And these terrorists are extremely dangerous as far as to Israel and to Western society in general. Now, the Bible predicts this. I want to read this to you. The burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. Now, this is a strange prophecy, because you have to understand that Damascus has never historically been destroyed that way.